Hey everybody watching, before I start the podcast, I'd like to give a super special shout out to all of our viewers who support us over on Patreon. Without your guys' support, it would be so much harder to make this kind of long-term content. If you're new and you like the content, consider going over and supporting us over on Patreon. Links down below. Anyways, with that being said, thank you everybody and enjoy the podcast. See ya!
I love the part when I was like,
Give me a little kamikaze. Give me a little bonsai. Wake up in here.
They're going to the land where the code of the ninjas began.
You are not Japanese. I can do it.
Now, for the first time, the true story.
Welcome Japan.
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 I'm nothing but a worthless gaijin.
Hey everybody out there on the YouTube source, this is your good old buddy TkyoSam back in the J-Land for you. Today on Welcome Japan podcast. Oh yeah, I already fuck it up. It's awesome, sexual, great fun here in rainy, snowy Tokyo. Today we are going to talk with a friend of a friend who is quite a legend here in Japan, if I can be so forward, and his name is Richard and he lives in Tottori, and so today we're going to be talking about Tottori, Japan. This place is famous for, I guess, sand dunes and camels, and I have an interesting story of when I was 18 and coming here, and Richard has lived a very interesting life here in Japan, has plenty of different stories, and yeah, we're going to hear them today. So thanks for being on the podcast, Richard.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Nice to, finally chat to you properly, mate.
yeah, right. Before we started this podcast, we just got to know each other a bit because we have a couple mutual friends, and yeah, it's a pretty good chat. I can tell off the bat that Richard's a very fun, kind of salt of the earth kind of dude. You can tell.
Try to be.
Yeah. You gotta have a good sense of humor when you're living in Japan. And definitely Richard is one of those dudes. I can tell from the first 5 seconds. It's like a substitute teacher, everyone's like, you should not, like, everyone judges a book by their cover, but it's like substitute teacher, you can decide in 5 seconds how far you can fuck with them, how far can you go, how far can you not, and it's like, you can do that for, if you're gonna be cool with people, and I can tell that when I'm talking to Richard for, I guess, like the first 20 minutes before this fucking podcast, I'm just like, yep, this dude's a cool motherfucker, so.
Right, thank you. You're not too bad yourself, mate.
Yeah, dude. So anyway, guys, Richard currently lives in Tochigi prefecture, like we just stated before, and just like every other podcast up until now, basically the format is we're going to get to know the interviewee. Today is Richard. We're going to learn a little bit about him, his history before Japan, and then also we're going to get into the prefectural questions as well, and then after that we're going to get into his fun, happy, awesome, chocolatey covered rainbow goodness stories that involve Japan, and then he can plug whatever he wants to plug today for his personal stuff. So anyway, let's dive into it. So Richard, is that the name that you're called online, or do you have an online handle that you go by, or a nickname, or is it just Richard?
Richard's fine, but actually a lot of my friends call me Richo. I'm not really sure why. Just, I think an Australian friend, Australians always put an O on the end of a name. Maiko, Steve-O, Dave-O.
Holy shit, they do that. What the fuck?
They did that, man.
They call me.
I became Richo ages ago, so yeah, most people in Tottori either Ricciardo, Japanese style, or Richo. So yeah, Richo's cool, but whatever.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, yeah, now that I think about it, like, two of my friends from Australia always say, "Oi, Samo," and I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
I thought they were always making. I thought it was just like me because I'm fat. And there's a Chinese guy named Sammo Hung who's fat too.
Don't be so sensitive, man.
Yeah, it's the O's, the goddamn Aussies.
Bro. Yeah.
Shit. So, Richard, where are you from, man?
So I'm originally from England. So I grew up in the beautiful countryside called the Cotswolds.
Okay.
It's kind of actually pretty popular and pretty famous for Japanese tourists. There's even a couple of cute villages that have some signs in Japanese.
Oh, awesome.
But I mean, that I didn't really pay any attention to that when I lived there. But yeah, really beautiful place. Great to be a kid, and great probably to have kids and retire. But in between is probably pretty boring actually. So
Yeah.
I left there. You know, I went to the university when I was 18, and apart from a couple of months here and there, I've not really lived there since.
Okay. Nice. And so, how old are you right now?
I'm an old bastard. So I was 38 just 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah. So
Oh.
my memory's going, man.
It's not Alzheimer's, okay? It's Someheimer's.
Yeah.
Don't worry, dude. I just turned 30 just like only a couple weeks ago, and I know that might seem far apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with it's like Groucho Marx used to say, you're only as old as the woman you feel. So,
And yeah. It's,
So, how long have you been in Japan total then?
so I first came to Japan in 2006. So that's what 11.
Oh.
Yeah, man. So I was a jet for 2 years. Enjoyed it. Great times. Loved living in Tottori. But at that time, I was what? Jesus, 28 when I left, I guess.
Yeah.
Adventures new. So I went to Madagascar for a while to do some research projects in the forest.
Okay.
Then I studied to be a safari guide in South Africa.
Oh shit. That's
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah, so that was like my dream since I was about 5 years old or something. So yeah, did that for a few months. Traveled around Africa a bit more. Then basically needed some money, so I lived in Seoul in Korea as a teacher for a year.
Yeah.
That was my once in in my life I wanted to live in a kind of mega city, being a country boy, just for to experience it.
Yeah.
Oh, Seoul was pretty full on, good times, but yeah, a year was enough, man. I was done.
Yeah, Seoul is kind of. I mean, I've only been there once, but it was. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I got the whole thing kind of taken care of one visit, kind of thing.
I mean, the Japanese like to drink, but the Koreans have got them beat on that shit for sure.
Oh yeah. My buddy Say Young could drink me under the table.
Everything's a drinking game. So anyway, after that, I was offered a job. So being a country boy, actually, so I was back in England for a bit and just had a bit of local part-time work. So I was literally driving a tractor around in the woods, literally.
A tractor in the woods.
Yeah, man. This is a true story, man. And I got this phone call from a friend here who runs an English school, and he does like private ALT positions, like jet, but less money, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he called me up this is a Friday lunchtime, so it was probably like 2 a.m. He was kind of half cut. I was like, I've got a job back in Tottori. Do you want it? I'm like, when? He's like, can you be here on Sunday? This is like Friday lunchtime. I'm in the tractor in England, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, right, let me just have some lunch and I'll call you back.
Yeah, right.
I looked on the phone, checked out flights. I was like, I could be there Monday. Is that cool? And I was there, yeah. So that following Monday, 3 days later, I was back in Tottori. And basically I've been back ever since. So I think it's basically, so I've been back for between 6 and 7 years, so a total of somewhere between 8 and 9 years.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So roughly around the same time I've been here, I think.
All right.
I got here in 2006 or 7, 2007, I think. Yeah. Oh shit, dude, that's awesome. So, I guess the next question is: are you married? Are you in a relationship? If so, are they Japanese? And have you ever dated a Japanese person?
Presently single. I had lunch with someone the other day. I don't think that counts as a relationship, but gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. I mean, I've not really been that close to getting married or anything, but I had a couple of pretty intense relationships with Japanese women, I'd say, rather than girls.
Okay.
And yeah, they've been pretty, strong, independent. Well, I thought they were strong, independent, sort of with it women. Yeah, I'm not sure that's really the best type to go for, to be honest.
Well,
strong, dependent equals mental.
Yeah. It's,
Somewhere.
what is
So,
it?
yeah.
There's the triangle or whatever, right? Yeah, I've heard it's like, girls could either be smart, beautiful, or crazy, and you can only choose two of those.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I don't know. I think they were pretty much all three. I'd say. But
okay.
anyway, that's a whole different story. But yes, presently not. Presently single.
Okay, so on a separate note, then, how's your current Japanese level? And I hate referring to the GLPT because I think it's a bullshit test. But I mean, like, how's your Japanese reading, writing, speaking? Can you call up your internet company, or can you negotiate a rental contract with somebody? I mean, how's your Japanese?
Right. So yeah. So I've only ever lived in Tottori, and for the first few years, so basically I'm a tour leader now. So I do tours all around Japan. I've done that for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
But mostly I just learned Japanese by living in Tottori. So I never studied. I didn't know anything before I came to Japan. So I would say, to my guests, maybe a bit cheesy, but I say I'm fluent in Japanese, not fluent. So I can talk shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I do need to go to the bank, the tax office, whatever, I need help, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all right, but it could be a lot better, and
Yeah.
so I'm working on it. But to be honest, and the thing was like so obviously, like I said, I learned Japanese from just speaking to Japanese friends in Tottori or going to bars and talking shit.
Yeah.
But when I started my tour leader job, I had to go to Tokyo a lot. I really couldn't understand Tokyo Japanese. What the hell? So it took me a while to adapt out of Tottori sort of ban into the Tottori sort of twist on words and stuff. So.
I didn't even know there was like kind of a difference. Tottori has their own accent and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and even each area has a little bit of a different twist. This area, which is central Tottori, everything is na 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 naka na na. Yeah. So I didn't even know that it was a thing until I went to Tokyo and I found out I couldn't really understand.
Okay.
Proper Japanese, so that I had to learn pretty quick then. So.
I guess I lived in Chiba when I first got here, and I don't know. I don't think Chiba has like special words or anything. I think they all just copy it from Tokyo. But no, that's cool though. I mean, like, that's awesome that there's different, like, that people like they don't ever think about it. You don't find this in tour guides, or tour books or whatever, where it's like, did you know that in Tottori they actually speak a slightly different dialect of Japanese than other people? It's like, I don't know that. I haven't been there. I need to go. So, or I've been there, but when I was there, I didn't understand Japanese at all, so I couldn't tell even if there was a difference. So
that's the thing. I've been here long enough and I've now traveled all around Japan for work. That I can tell the difference between here and there, especially if I speak to like an old farmer guy up the road, or if I'm walking a neighbor's dog or something.
Yeah.
It'd be just the same as even an English person or an Australian American going to where I grew up in England, and it's like Hot Fuzz. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Yeah, I love Hot Fuzz. That movie's great.
That's where I grew up. That's like I get homesick if I watch that.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'd love to go visit someplace like that eventually. Like that.
Yeah, it's good for a visit, man. It's not cheap, but it's good.
I mean, but it's like, what is it? So, moving back on topic though, so we already talked about how you moved to Japan. First you were a jet, then you kind of left for a little while, and then you came back on your as a private LT for your friend's company, right? So, if you had to pick, what were 3 reasons on why you moved to Japan, and what would they be?
Okay, so I'm probably quite different than I imagine than other people. Most people you probably interviewed for this project, but I didn't come to Japan for any particular reason other than travel, and it was a way to get out of England again. So basically, when I was 24, as in a lot of my friends did, I did a around the world trip, traveling, backpacking, whatever you want to call it, on my own. And when I was in New Zealand, I spoke to this girl, English girl, and she said about, this Japan being great, and then there's this thing called the jet program, and you can get paid good money and live in a cool place.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, that sounds cool, and then just forgot about it. And then when I was back in England, I was like home for like a week, and I was like, shit, like I need to get out of here, man. Like my parents were in, I can't handle this anymore. Like the world's just becoming too small.
Mm-hmm.
So then, literally, I was like, shit, what was that thing? Jet program, Google search, application, interview, which used to be at that time. You used to do it in the Japanese embassy in London, which was pretty cool. And then then a few months later, there I was in random ass place in Tottori. So it was all. So yeah, I didn't come for a particular reason, but I've traveled a fair bit. I've lived in a couple of different places, but I love it, man. And like every time I left and I came back, it was like returning home.
Yeah, right.
Tottori especially,
Yeah,
like I think it's like some places resonate, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, like, you get in where you fit in, kind of thing, and you liked it here. It was like a puzzle piece. You found a place where where everything kind of clicked.
Yeah, that's it. And and I know people here, good people, plenty of opportunities. It's a cheap place to live. So
yeah. When you came, sorry, I just wanted to clarify one. So in Europe, because when I was 18, it sucks. Like I the only experience I have traveling, I had only traveled to Japan until I was like 24 or something, or 22, I think, and then I always when I was 18, I stayed at youth hostels here a bunch, and I was always envious because I'd meet other European people that were like my age, and they were either doing a leap year before or after college. Where guys, for all of you who are listening who are not of European persuasion, a leap year is basically when somebody they take off a year after college or before college to travel the world, right? Is that still a popular thing, or is that kind of like lowering now, or like
To be honest, I mean, I don't live there, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
But so like I said, I'm 38. So what was this? Early. So 2004, 2005, I traveled. At that time, so I was the last generation of free university. I got paid to go to university. That was how it used to be back in England, right? So I didn't have massive debt. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any debts, particularly. Well, I had a few grand, which I spent on beer and kebabs and whatnot.
Yeah.
But around the world ticket was like £1,000 at the time.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was, so to like literally, I would say at least half of my friends, and I'm talking now, mechanics or doctors or whatever, like all different backgrounds. It was just what you did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you see them doing it and having cool time. You think, well, I can just take a small loan. I'm not so much in debt.
Yeah.
The ticket's $1,000. I can work, and then and most people say work in Australia or New Zealand for a few months. So it was a pretty cool time. But I mean, I think definitely compared to the States, people, Europe, British especially, Australians, Kiwis travel a lot too, right?
Yeah.
And I do remember that towards the end of my trip, I was in Vancouver and did some scuba diving, freezing cold, don't recommend it.
Yeah.
And there was an American family on board, and they were like, wow, it's so amazing you've done this. And I'm like, really? Because normally with other backpackers, you just think it's kind of standard, but yeah.
Yeah, right?
Not so much of an American thing, perhaps.
Yeah, unfortunately, I saw this on TV. I never actually checked to clarify it, but it seems like almost over 50% of Japanese people have their passport, or at least it was something like really high, like 70%. At least most of them had traveled abroad or had experience traveling. And it's like Americans, I've heard that what is it? The population in Japan is like 121 million, and in America it's like 300 something million, right? But like in America, only 10% of the people I heard have passports. I've traveled abroad, and that's just so sad, because I mean, like, you literally open up your fucking mind when you just experience a different culture and realize that you're not just this closed off fuck. I kind of came from a small town. Like, my father lived in New York City, my mom lived in Boulder, Colorado, and but I'd go back to see him every summer or so, or every other summer, and it was fun. Oh, I always loved being in the city, but then I'd come back to like this small little university town where it's just like you can get from one side of the town to the other in like 20 minutes by car if the traffic's good. And and I was like, there's such a big world, and like I'm poor, like fuck, how do I make this happen? And I was like, well, go to Japan first. I like Japan. Japan's cool. I always wanted to live in Japan. I thought I'd come here and then kind of stay and then go travel around the world, but it's just I don't know, got kind of hooked. Dug some roots.
Yeah, it's a good place to do it, man. Like where I grew up, there was 400 people in my village.
Sweet Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, when I started primary school, I was the only boy in my whole year.
It's a booming population, I can tell right there.
Yeah. I mean, there was 54 kids, I think, in the whole school.
Wow.
It's kind of like, I've done it in Japan. I've taught in schools where there were 27 kids.
Yeah.
In Shimane, a little bit there.
Yeah, they what is it? I've heard. Yeah, like I think it was a documentary on Japan Vice or something, or something on YouTube where they were interviewing people, and it's like there's 3 kids at the whole school, and they they didn't want to justify hiring so many teachers for just like 3 kids, but it's like, well, they have no other place to go. There's literally no other schools around, and yeah, it must be so. That's like such an interesting case study. I'd love to sit down and talk with those people and just be like, what? So like, what's up? What's up with you, man? Like, what's it like?
I mean, I guess we're going off on a different.
Yeah, sorry, but
yeah, sweet kids in my experience, really.
Yeah, so anyway, guys, let's we had a good kind of back talk with Richard. Why don't we get into some of those prefectural questions? And that's so we already found out about how you ended up in Tottori and how you ended up with your job originally and how you ended up coming back there. Just to clarify again, how long have you lived in Tottori total?
So somewhere between 8 and 9 years.
Okay, and I'm just curious, what do you know any food? Like, is there any famous food from Tottori?
Crab is famous from Tottori. So, I mean, obviously, because it's on the Sea of Japan coast, so it's lots of good seafood.
Okay.
Chikawa. Do you know chikawa?
No. What's chikawa?
Chikawa is like this. You've probably seen it in like Oden. It's like a fish paste. It's like a tube. Looks like a tube. It's hollow.
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know.
And, I mean, there's like really bad chikawa and it's pretty good chikawa.
Yeah.
But it's like in Tottori they eat the most per head of population of anywhere in Japan. I do have a funny story about that actually.
Okay. Okay, we'll wait for the story part of the podcast then for that. But okay, and I'm curious, when you first moved here versus now, how much of how much of your diet is Japanese? Ratio wise, or I guess percentage wise, like, do you eat more Japanese food or do you eat like mostly like kind of Western food?
I would say 90-something% Japanese food.
Okay, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, especially when I'm at home, I try to eat healthy. So at the moment, I'm eating nabe twice a day, just vegetables and chicken.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because I'm going away to Vietnam for 6 weeks for work next month, and that will be fairly, on a lot of buses and planes and eating nice food. So I'm just trying to stock up in vitamins and health and goodness. But
yeah, and some pre-trained.
Yeah, to be honest, there's not so many options for Western food. I mean, there's what do you call it, yoshoku, so like Japanese twists on Western food, but I eat that now and again, but I generally try and not do that so much.
That's awesome. So that's good. Yeah, because that's one of the questions I always ask is kind of like a light, fluffy question that I'm curious because, everybody loves food. There's not a single person that, even anorexics or bulimics, I mean, they still love food to some degree. I mean, everybody's got the food that they eat, but it's funny how, I'll have, I love, I don't know, I just love Japanese food. It tastes great. And I never, was never a single day in my life where I'm like, you know what, fuck Japanese food. So that's good to hear that you like to eat a lot of Japanese food too.
Yeah. So also like the places where I like to go and hang out is, they're not going to paint Tottori as anything like it's anywhere you can have a good party or whatever, unless you make it yourself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Places where I go and drink is old mama's place, and generally I'm often the youngest person. I'm 38, right? So and what she does is just, she has a menu for the normal customers who generally go upstairs in this little place.
Yeah.
But and the locals, the regulars, you just go down, you sit downstairs, and she just puts whatever out.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of Japanese. Sometimes it's weird shit that she's kind of made up. I don't know. But generally, yeah, just Japanese food. You just eat what's there, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I like that style. So you're not overfilling yourself.
Yeah, you get a lot of variety, like.
Yeah. And then like she just charges you like whatever 600 yen or something. I don't even know half the time. Just I don't have a tab there.
Those kind of places are awesome, man. I love it when they just do that. Like you go somewhere and like you don't even know the price, but you know they're not gonna rip you off, and you're gonna get a pretty good deal for what you're paying. So it's just like you order whatever, just say omakase kosu, whatever, and then you just fucking pay the thing, and you're like, wow, that was that much? Okay, I got to come back here again. You hook it up.
That's cool. Yeah, and those kind of places is where you can get to really know local people and also learn Japanese as well.
That's
they don't really
awesome.
speak English, so they can find the odd word now and again to help you out when you're kind of learning. But yeah, I like that kind of stuff.
So I guess the next question then would be, so where are the cool places, nature-wise, city-wise, in Tottori? Like what sticks out to you personally?
Okay, so well, I work in tourism, mostly outside of Tottori, but recently I've been doing some bike tours, and I'm actually writing a book, like a guidebook about Tottori. I actually submitted the outline yesterday.
Awesome.
So yeah, I guess I would say I'm pretty well placed to have some suggestions of where to go. So anyway, cut to the chase. So basically. So interesting, you mentioned Tottori is famous for sand dunes and camels, right?
Yeah.
For me, and that's totally fair. Like that's what the Tottori government, they've got that sort of feature, but they tend to over promote that and don't, because they don't want to use their imagination. They want an easy, the people who work in the tourism office, they don't want to think about it. Okay, let's do that. So they just promote that one thing.
Yeah.
And for me, the problem with that is that the sand dunes are pretty cool, but they're not amazing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people go, oh, Tottori equals sand dunes. So they come to Tottori, maybe they drive from Osaka 3 hours or something, and they go, this is all right, but it's not so special.
Yeah.
So their view is then Tottori is this kind of meh, but there's so many cool old school places around. I'll give you an example just up the road from where I live.
Yeah.
So I live in a place called Misasa. So Misasa Onsen.
Okay.
So the kanji you can probably imagine, mi as in 3 and asa as in mornings.
Okay, 3 mornings.
Mornings, yeah. So this is an 850-year-old onsen village, basically. It's town, village, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And the belief is if you go to these onsen for 3 mornings in a row, whatever sickness, illness you've got will be cured. Yeah, I'm not going to put this side to that shit. But it's cool. It's because there's a high level of radon, which apparently, low levels of radiation exposure actually is good for your body. Obviously, too much, then you get cancer and die. That's not so. So that's really cool. So that's like this old school onsen. So I live, I can drive to that in like 4 minutes or something. Just up the road is this ancient temple complex called TkyoSam.
Okay.
So 3 again, me, and Toku is like 3 virtues basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so if your followers can look up Toku-san, Mitoku-san, and then there's this temple complex, and you can you can walk or kind of climb up through these routes over the rocks, and there's various temples on this path. People die doing it every few years. It's proper Japanese. They don't worry about health and safety. But generally, it's just cool. It's beautiful. Old people, young people do it all the time.
Yeah. Way
up in the mountain is this temple that's built into the cliff face. I'll have to send you a picture later, called Nagare-do. So Nagare is to throw, right? To throw. Yeah. So Nagare-do. So it's like thrown into the cliff temple.
Okay.
And that was built in 706, man. 706. And it's still the original wood. Damn. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's amazing, man. That's it's right up the road from where I live. There's cool fire walking festival they do in last weekend of October, I think. I would have to check that. So that's definitely so. Misasa Onsen is very central to Tori. And the whole thing is you go, and it's since 850 years ago. The belief is so you go to Misasa to. They say restore your six senses, which I like. I like that. They recognize the sixth sense as a thing. It's on posters, right?
Like,
so obviously, or your no,
like sensing ghosts or something.
or your spirit or whatever you want to call it, right?
Okay.
Everyone has something, I don't know, consciousness if you want to call it.
Okay.
So, but basically, the onsen for the more, I don't know, the physical parts, actually your body, your health, the way the blood flow and whatever.
Yeah.
And then we go to the pilgrimage Mitoku-san for more your spirit, because it's kind of hardcore walking up, and then you get to the top and go wow, and then you're cleansed from within or something. So if you want all your six senses sorted out, come to Misasa.
Awesome.
Right. There you go. The other thing, the great thing that Tottori's got is a beautiful mountain called Mount Daisen.
Okay.
So the kanji is big mountain. So often people read it as like Okiyama or something like that.
Oyama, Okiyama, Daisen.
Yeah. Which is actually, it's often called mini Fuji because from one side it's very, the shape of it is similar to Fuji.
Okay.
In my opinion, having climbed Fuji 3 times, Daisen beats the shit out of Fuji.
Oh, really?
In terms of viewing from afar, of course, Fuji's the one. But in terms of actually climbing it and spending time, and there's beautiful temples on it and forest and all that kind of stuff, Daisen's the shit.
Okay, we got to keep that in mind, guys. Daisen,
Mount Daisen, yeah. And you can do lots of cool, and it's there's skiing and snowboarding at the moment if you want to do that stuff. But in terms of like beautiful hiking, go up to the peak and it's beautiful all the way up. You can do it in under. Some people say like 6 hours. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But maybe an average person is say 3 to 4 hours up and down. Whereas Fuji's overnight in the dark, in the cold, and then hopefully you get sunrise.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
So yeah, Daisen's the shit. Daisen's really great. But then all along's beautiful coast, and there's other onsens around. The more famous touristy stuff. Do stop me because I can go on forever about this place. But
no, keep going. This is about promoting Tottori. What's well, I mean, okay. What about like any city stuff or like places that's very. You mentioned a lot of nature. Is there any cool like town or city attractions? I remember going to a zoo and like a tea house or something when I was in Tottori waiting for my bus to leave or something.
I have no idea where that is. Maybe it's not there anymore. But
okay.
I mean, in terms of I'm not a massive zoo fan anyway, to be honest, especially in Asia. But if you want to do, you can go out hiking. There's bears here if you're lucky, unlucky, whichever way you want to look at it. And snakes coming out. There's snakes everywhere. It's beautiful. Birds. Yeah. If you like birds, I'm a bit of a bird nerd, so that's really cool for birds and stuff. City-wise, I'll be honest. It's nice. It's not somewhere you're gonna come if you want to come in and have big parties and stuff. But at the end of the day, there's the Yunago in the west and Tottori City in the east. They've got a population of, I don't know, 70, maybe, I don't know, at least 100,000 people, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in a village of 400 people. For me, 100,000 cities, metropolis, right? So there's always, you can find people to have drinks with and good time, right?
Okay.
If you want clubs and whatever and all that kind of stuff, then nah. Don't bother.
Which leads us to the next question, though. Then, so where do I go to make friends, man? If I'm a drinker, if I'm not a drinker, where do I go during the day or nighttime to like meet friends and possibly pick up some nice females for some good platonic hand holding?
I'd say the one thing, because Tottori's small and relatively speaking, the foreign population is small.
Yeah.
All the foreigners. So I don't know. It probably takes 3 hours, I guess, to drive from one end of the prefecture to the other. Maybe around that, I'm not really sure. But from one end to the other, most foreigners know each other.
Okay.
So there's often parties, you know what I mean? So it's actually it's quite spread out, but it's quite a strong kind of community, if you like.
Yeah.
So there's often stuff like that going on. And then, you know, a lot of, and it's not just, you know, your hangers-on who just want a free chance to speak English. There's actually some, you know, so the people who have been here a long time have Japanese mates who are into surfing, whatever, and cool, and they're just cool people. So there's often a mix like that. There's quite a big beach party that happens every year here. That's always pretty wild.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It should be in July. I don't even know how you would find out about it. I can send you information about it, and maybe you can share it with the people.
Okay.
With your friends and whatnot. But yeah, and then yeah, I mean, you know, I'll be honest. It's a rural prefecture. It's the most rural prefecture in Japan. It's got the smallest population in Japan. So in terms, like literally, it's classed as the most rural prefecture, and that's its best point for someone like me. You know, if you want to go somewhere for nature and to cleanse your soul, your six senses, man, then that's where you want to go, right?
Okay, yeah, like I've heard. Yeah, I mean, our mutual buddy Mel.
He had a baby 2 days ago. Do you know
I saw that on Facebook. Yeah.
His wife. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave birth to it in his house or something, or like on the hospital floor or something.
Oh, the hospital floor.
Yeah, like they couldn't even make it to the bed or something, right? Yeah.
By choice. That's called a natural birth. I'm like, what the fuck's every what?
Huh.
So you could choose to give birth on a futon.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right. So on the floor. Like, why would you do that? And apparently, there's in that hospital, there's like a lowered floor with a little trapdoor that opens, so like the doctor can pop up at vagina height.
Wow, just to kind of.
Can you imagine you're a doctor, right, and you're trying to give birth, you know, get a baby out, and they're lying on the floor. So you need to get down there. So apparently, there's a trap. This is like crazy Japan, whatever, right? So like this doctor goes down. There's a little trapdoor that opens near their vagina,
It's
and
like
he pops up. Standing
like a bar.
up.
Like a bar. You have to like, go under the counter to get in to serve drinks. Except, don't mind me. I'm just delivering a baby. This is not humiliating at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just kind of crazy shit. But
yeah, but Mel told me that there was a really small, like really low population in Tottori, and like one of the best reasons about raising his daughter there is like he gets all these government benefits because they need people to live there.
Yeah, they actually pay you to have a baby in Tottori, I believe.
Yeah, it's awesome. He was just like, man, I'm getting paid, bro. I was like, getting paid to procreate. He's like, I'm getting paid to procreate. Oh yeah. I was like,
yeah. So that's good. But yeah, that's kind of weird little story there.
That's funny.
It's going on. I know maybe we're gonna get to that later on, but yeah, it's alright. Sorry, I'll get to that later on.
Yeah. Well, why don't we move on to? I guess let's move into like the meat and potatoes of this, which is what is the hardest what is the hardest part about living in Tottori, Richard?
Okay, so
like weather, people, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just qualify. I mean, I can, you know, I'm a grumpy old man. You know, I mean, I could complain about anything, but before I complain, say there's far more for me good points than bad points. If it was the other way around, I'd move. You know what I mean? I'm not married. I get that. So the hardest. I mean, it's rural. It's you know. So with that, it can be somewhat isolated, and especially in winter months like now.
Yeah.
Outside here now is like deep snow and ice. It's freezing. Like it was -3 inside my house. Inside my house 3 days ago.
Ugh. That's not bueno.
that kind of thing, and then you know, so in winter it can be a bit. I don't know. Lonely is quite the word I'd use, but it can be sort of, you know, you feel kind of like you're hibernating almost, you know.
Isolation.
Yeah, and also, you know, Tottori is not very well connected in terms of public transport. There's buses, the trains. There's no Shinkansen. The trains are not that regular and kind of relatively slow. But for me, again, I can twist that around and say, look, you know, if you want to go somewhere cool, make the effort. You know, if it's easy to get to, too many people will come, right?
Do you need a car to live in Tottori?
Absolutely, you need a car. Yeah, I use my car every day. So if you don't have a driving license, it would suck.
Yeah, that sounds like yeah.
You would have to live in, Tottori City or whatever. And I mean, fair enough, you can bicycle around. But if you're gonna live in an urban city environment, I don't know why you choose to live there. To be honest, you might as well somewhere there's more cool stuff around.
Right?
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I've got a car, I've got a scooter, and I've got a motorbike. I don't have a license yet, but I've got the motorbike because the priest from the temple up the road gave it to me, which is pretty cool.
That is so awesome. He's like, "Hey, you motorbike? What? Nah, I'll just give it to you. You got space."
Yeah. Well, it had been sitting in the temple garage or temple whatever parking whatever for like 4 years. He hadn't been using it, and I was like, "Do you want that?" And it was like, I had to spend like 70,000 yen, I think it was, to get it roadworthy again, but that's all right.
That's
So
awesome.
anyway, yes, you need a car for sure. So in your life, to enhance your life beyond belief, you need a car. Yeah.
And you're British, so like all you needed to do is take an eye test and just to convert over your British license to Japanese. Unlike me, I had to do the freaking test from zero. I had to do the stupid test and like pass like 3 times. Well, I mean, it wasn't that bad, I guess, considering I met an African dude who had fucking failed it like 15 times, but I had passed it on the 3rd try. But
going, man, that's not. So I hear that's not bad going.
yeah, well, I mean, it's either I do it myself and I try it myself and spend $50 each time, or I just can spend $3,000 to go to a school to learn something that I already know how to do. I was just like, fuck that, man. It's just a test. It's just memorization. You just gotta remember it, and then boom, got it.
Yeah, I mean, how bullshit is that? Also, right? So with the whole learning to drive thing, if you're American, the fact that or whoever is like, they'll fail you 10 times. It's very rare. I think I know one person that passed first time. But you can pay a set amount, and you'll definitely pass first time. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I kind of understand, like, if you compare it to China, because originally in China it was pretty easy for everyone to get a license, and then everyone bought cars, and they didn't really regulate it. So like anywhere you go in the big cities, there's always a big fucking traffic jam during any time of the day. And in Japan, I guess like they didn't want to have that kind of situation. I mean, this is all like just me and conspiracy theories, but I'm thinking that they made it on purpose, high amounts. So one, it would kind of boost the economy, and two, it would make it so if you really want to drive, like everyone needs to drive, especially in places like Tottori, and it's like, well, if you want to drive, you're gonna pay into it, and you're gonna go to like super hardcore driving school, so then you can be a total dick afterwards after driving. People ask me why I drive so fucking crazy, and it's like because I had to go to that stupid test, and none of it's practical knowledge, nothing. It's like but I mean, it's still I think they do that, and then they have the shocken, the car inspection. The tests and everything. I think they make it expensive on purpose because they don't want to have cars accessible so easily that it'll pollute the air
they want to. I mean, they want to sell new cars, right?
Yeah,
you're part of the economy, so they make it difficult to keep a second-hand car, basically. So you might as well. It's like, well, I pay all this money to get my old car for another 2 years on the road, or I can pay a little bit more for a new one. I think that's what they tend to go for, right?
Yeah, those assholes. But hey, you got it's part of it's like you don't hate the player, hate the game, right? So
absolutely, yeah, indeed.
So what's the easiest part about living in Tottori Prefecture then, Richard?
Okay, easiest stroke best for me is living wise. Okay, so at the moment, I live in a house which is 14 rooms.
14 rooms.
Yeah. So I got 4 tatami, huge kitchen. I've got like a shrine, 4 rooms upstairs, like the little side house. I've got my pool table, which the priest also gave me, which is pretty cool. Another room upstairs there, big bathroom, 2 toilets, blah 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 blah. 35,000 a month.
He's paying almost $350 for a mansion.
Yep.
Practically. Well, how far are you from the station though? Train station.
Yeah, that's an issue, but it's about 20-minute drive.
20-minute drive. Okay, so you need to drive in order to get to where you are, but you.
Yeah, drinking is the thing, and basically, like, you have to be a little bit imaginative. So there's one system. I don't know if your followers know about the system called Daiko. I presume you know about Daiko.
Yep. We mentioned it in the first podcast actually, Daiko. Yeah, but please tell for people who might have skipped that episode, what's
Okay.
Daiko, Richard?
So Daiko. So someone like me, I need to drive 20 minutes to go. So to the places I like to drink is 15 minutes drive away, something like that.
Yeah.
So I will drive, and also in Japan, it's important to know zero alcohol. You don't do it.
Yeah, not even a drop in your system.
Don't do it, because if you're foreign, you get busted, you're probably going home. Is
Yeah.
it worth? Don't do it. Just like, what I mean, I could be a dickhead sometime. I draw the line there.
Yeah, don't even, guys, like in America it's like 1 or 2 drinks is fine. In Japan, like even like a shot, if they give a breathalyzer or whatever, yeah, they'll get you.
Work. They actually make a point of phoning up your company.
Yeah,
And
they'll
if you-
call your company.
They tell every school in the prefecture, literally. So you don't want that shame, trust me. But I'm not from my experience, but yeah, you don't want. Anyway, so yeah, don't drink drive, people. Anyway, so you drive. So I'll drive to my friend's bar, restaurant, whatever, drink, and then they call up a company. So one guy comes. So 2 guys come in a little car. One guy gets out, gets in my car, and drives me home in my car. So my car is at my house with me in it, and I'm not driving. And you pay them money, and then he gets his mate in the little car, follows behind. Once he's parked my car, you pay the guy, and he goes off in the little car to the next place. And that's like half the price of a taxi. It's 2 people. I mean, they're using a tiny little car, but then your petrol, your gas, whatever. But so basically, it's a good way of getting your car back with you in it, and you're not, without drink driving. If that makes sense. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it's basically like you guys. It's like having a double D, or I guess a designated driver, except you pay them and they show up only after you need to go home, and then they'll come there with their other buddy in their car. So then basically they drive your car for you back home, and then they can just fuck off afterwards. And it's cheaper than a taxi. I used to do it a couple times when I lived in Chiba in the countryside when I lived there too. It is cheaper than a taxi, which I found out hilariously. Yeah, I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm never taking a taxis are the same price wherever you go in Japan, but Daiko are very they vary in price depending on the area. And yeah, guys, that's I guess that is kind of hard, or I guess the hard part about living in a rural place is that. But I guess I could ask. Wait, did I already ask you? What is the easiest part about living in Tottori then? I mean,
But that's what I was
yeah.
getting. So basically, yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. It's safe. If you don't have to lock your house. You don't have to lock your car. Literally, I've done this. Don't recommend it, but you can do it. You can go to the store with your windows down, park your car, leave the keys in the ignition with your Mac on the front seat of the car.
Yeah.
Go do your shopping. And come out, and of course, everything's fine, right? So it's so unbelievably safe in terms of petty crime, and it just doesn't happen. Cars don't get stolen, houses don't get broken into. I'm not saying ever, but pretty much I think in all the years I heard of one house being kind of broken into during the daytime, and that's it. Never any cars stolen, nothing. So that's a great thing. It's a very safe, clean, beautiful place to live. And the thing with the housing is, and it's just something I thought about a few years ago. There's still a lot of people here that will rent an apartment. I mean, of course, it's cheaper than Osaka, but for like a 1-room, apartment with bathroom, you're still gonna pay like $500 if it's near a station or it's just standard, boring apartment complex.
Yeah.
The thing about one of the problems that Tottori has, a huge problem, is the aging population and urban migration. So basically, the villages are emptying out. There's called Akiya, empty houses everywhere.
Yeah.
So, and beautiful houses, like this house I live in now. It's beautiful. It's tatami and beautiful wooden floors, and as I said, shrine and all sorts of stuff. But it was empty for 4 years before I moved in, which is fine. It just catch it around that time, then it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So basically, I was like, I don't, there's all these empty houses, and I don't want to live in some dump apartment and pay $500. So I was like, so I asked some people, I thought, who would know? So I was again, the priest guy, he's a good friend, he's a great resource. I try and help him out and stuff too. But so I was like, you know a lot of people. Can you ask around? Has anyone got like, their mother's house or their grandmother's house is empty? It's just going to rot and fall to the ground if no one ever lives in there. So can you ask around? And so I think like the first time, like we talked about before,
Yeah.
was this old kindergarten. So basically an old school. I mean, it wasn't luxurious, but it was cool. It was kind of in the sticks, but I could walk to the bar in like 15 minutes.
Wait, it was like an actual school, or was it like one of those like rooms that they call a kindergarten, which is just like a room in a building, or but it was like a legit big fucking building or whatever?
It was it had a hall with a stage, 2 big classrooms, and then a few other sort of side rooms. So basically,
Wow.
and I had that for $10,000 a month, so $100 a month.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
So you
I
lived
had
in a little school, a little kindergarten.
Yeah, so I had some really cool parties. I even had like there's a guy called, what's he called now? Tomo Bay something or other. He's known as the Japanese Bob Dylan.
Okay.
He's kind of an old guy, but the restaurant I go to, they're friends with him, and he comes there and does live concerts. So he came, and the restaurant man was like, "Come and check out Richard's house. You should do a live concert there." So I ended up basically, this guy came, and like 60, 70 people, whatever it was, came in and had this concert basically in my living room, right?
Oh my god, that's so fucking
That's
awesome.
Yeah, so it was really, really bizarre, really cool. So that was one. So that that was okay for a while, but it was a bit of an old building. So then I was like, I need to move out of there. So I asked again. So the priest guy said I spoke to him, and then he goes, okay, phones me up and says, come and check this place out. And I'm like, oh my god, it's beautiful. And then the lady was the owner was like, it used to be a parent's house. A lot of Japanese people around here get left their parents' house, but they don't really want it. They've already got a house with their kids and a husband and whatever.
Yeah.
So they just someone living in there, so they don't have to come and clean it once a month or whatever is cool for them. So they just, as long as so they'll do cheap rent. And she was like, well, a family lived here 4 years ago for a while, and we charged them 50,000. And then straight back, she was like, but you can have it for 30,000. I'm like, all right.
For the current house that you live in right now.
House, and then with the next little side house bit, extra spare playhouse or whatever you want to call it, with the pool table and a spare room upstairs, that was an extra 5,000 a month. So it was like 35,000, locked in for 5 years, if I want to stay 5 years. So,
Okay.
So cut long story short, it's cheap living in a massive house,
Okay, I thought like, I don't know, when I had heard stories, because like again, guys, like I have, well, I mean, as people kind of hopefully figure out from just listening to this podcast or whatever, I'm kind of a guy who knows people, or at least I know people who know people here, and I knew people that knew Richard that had been to Tottori or had lived in Tottori or something Tottori related, and so I'd already heard about Richard a bit before today, before I actually got to sit down and talk with him. And somebody I heard all these like rumors. It's like I've never actually met the guy, but it's like he lives in like an abandoned junior high school or something, and there's like 30 rooms, and he has one room that's a pool table, and like and like one of the rooms is his like bedroom, one's a living room. And I was like this is nuts. I can't believe that. And it's like, wait, did you actually live in an abandoned junior high school or something? Or
So the abandoned school was the kindergarten.
okay.
Actually called kindergarten.
Yeah.
For some reason. So like I said, it was one big hall, which I said you can get 60, 70 people or more easily in, sitting watching a concert.
Yeah.
2 rooms, one I converted into a kitchen, one I had some like little gas stoves. I said, and the funny thing was, so the toilets were made for 2-year-old kids.
Like there had to be some adult toilets, right?
No. Actually, never think. So there was what do you call it in America? A urinal. Yeah, that's a good point. No, there were 2 kid-sized toilets, and I'm just trying to. Oh no, sorry. There was a Japanese squat style as well, right? So
Yeah.
urinal, Japanese squat style, and 2 basically baby-sized proper toilet. So
which one did you use?
I want to sit down, man. So I was like, your old toilet. I said like your knees are up around your ears, you know. But I think that's a very healthy way to poop.
So like for a couple of years, like you're just like squatting, like you're basically sitting down on a little hole that like is meant for 2-year-olds. Every single time you wake up, you gotta take a dump or something. You just go to the little
Yeah, man, you get used to it. But yeah, I mean, it was basically a miniature-sized Western toilet, and I mean like proper miniature size.
Yeah.
With that or squat toilet, I mean, well, I don't know. Western people, our joints aren't soft enough to be. That ain't comfy. Don't know.
Yeah, it's not.
Any Westerner that prefers a Japanese toilet, it's just not true, man.
Yeah, it's
So
not.
if it's slightly off the ground and it has a seat on it, you're gonna choose that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's that's a thing too. I'm just like, dude, like, come on, man. That's not. I don't know. I mean, like, because I teach at a kindergarten every Saturday here, and it's just the place there. It's just I couldn't imagine like sitting down on one of those, especially since I'm like the size of a sumo wrestler, pretty much, and I'm like, dude, but yeah, even the Western style toilet seat that they have that's like normal size, they make the toilet seat small for the slightly older kids, and I'm like, dude, like I'm barely fitting out there. I hate taking a shit each time I go to that school, but yeah, it's always an adventure when I do that. But that's hilarious, man. So like, wait, so if I'm coming to, sorry to cut you off, but like if I'm coming to Tottori for like 3 days, what are we doing, man? I'm coming to Tottori 3 days. What are we doing? Where are you taking me? What are we gonna do? What are we eating?
Basically, what I would say is definitely, I love the onsen. The great thing about Misasa, it's a rare case where it's got a public, open, and free outdoor onsen.
Oh shit!
Well, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So like with that style, so there's no taps, nothing. So you just get a bowl and you wash your balls and your ass a bit first, and then get in, right? And that shit is a cool experience because it's very open as well. There's a bridge next to it, very sort of quaint bridge. So people are walking across, they can see down and shit. Be like, whatever, man.
Oh fuck! Yeah.
So that's cool, man. And so we're definitely going to check out the onsen and stuff like that. And there's always like this group of old dudes that go there every day, and they're quite funny to talk to. Mostly, they sometimes ask you like most retarded, annoying, stupid questions. For example, one guy was like in weird, broken Japanese English, was like, "Do you know Diana Princess?" And I'm like, "What? Diana Princess? Do you mean Princess Diana, right?" And I'm like, "Well, she's dead, so no." I don't, and I was just like every English person is friends with Princess Di, and it's just like I'm naked and just trying to chill out. Shut the fuck up, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, generally speaking, it's kind of interesting, cool kind of vibe going on. So on set, man, definitely I would say go and check out the temple up the road as well. So that's Misasa Central area.
Yeah.
If it's summer as well, they can barbecue at the beach. There's nice beaches and beautiful swimming. Definitely check out Mount Dyson. You don't have to climb up it. You can go and see these old cool temples and stuff. So, and like I know kind of like a few other random ass hiking places. You go through these sort of abandoned villages and these ruins of temples and stuff, and you won't see any other people. You see animals, snakes, stuff. So yeah, definitely kind of outdoorsy stuff,
Okay, awesome. So, that sounds awesome. So guys, let's so like since it's kind of since we've been following the format just in different styles, which is not a big deal at all today, but since we already answered a couple questions that I usually save for the end, I think I'm just gonna jump to it with Richard, and so I'm gonna say, so would you so I only have 2 more questions for you before before you can plug your stuff. And so one is, would you recommend somebody come to live in Tottori if it's their first time in Japan? Why? Yes, no, why not?
Good question. I mean, it's a long time since I had that situation myself, but firstly, if you can if you have a driving license, or get your driving license before you come. And I think the rule is you have to have your drives at least 3 months. So get a driving license 3 months before. You can do if you're American, whatever, you can do international license, right? That's easy. It's easy to get.
Yep, it's good for a whole year. Just make sure you get it before you come to Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. So get yourself a vehicle. You can also rent cars by the month, and that's in like $20,200 a month.
Oh,
with
okay. I
ins-
didn't know that. Oh, that's awesome.
So a lot of people do that. Um, well, what else? I don't know. If you like outdoorsy stuff, it's cool. But even if you don't, I mean, it's cool. It's nice people, fresh air, fresh food. But other advice, I don't know. Just come with an open mind. But that's the same as anywhere else, you know. And I would say this, like I have known there was one guy. We used to call him Rain Cloud because he's just fucking miserable. Like, no, but I'm in Tottori. I want to live in Tokyo. Like, mate, you're here. You're gonna be here for a year, right? Deal
Yeah.
with it. Make the most of it. And sure enough, that guy, Rain Cloud, was like 2 weeks before he left. I saw him. He was drunk out of his mind in this party. And he was like, I actually quite like it now. I was like, I should have given it a bit more of a go. I was like, fucking told you that fucking a year ago, mate. Just, you know, it's cool, it's nice people. I mean, if, like, okay, let's put it this way. If you're a jet and you end up being put, you don't choose Tottori, or it could be the same in Shimane or another rural prefecture.
Yeah.
You're going to be there for a year. Don't bitch and complain. If you can take the bus to Osaka the weekend if you really want to or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Just make the most of your time here. It's a cool place, and it's beautiful. And just, you know, if you're stuck in a little town, get out of the town, go and, you know, in the little villages and stuff like that. But also for me, so I like sports. I play soccer, badminton, and whatever, you know, just stuff. So if you do that in the weeknight evenings, you meet people, and they'll often, you know, then you know they'll ask you out drinking and stuff like that. And it's just, you know, just get involved in stuff in the community, right? If you're going to sit in your apartment and bitch about not being in Tokyo, then you're going to have a shit life.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, you gotta, like you were saying earlier in the podcast, it's like, you know, there's tons of entertainment, but you gotta make it for yourself first, you know? It's not gonna find you, you gotta go find it.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know, I kind of forgot about this, but there's a big G beer. So G beer means craft beer.
Yeah.
And the biggest outdoor beer festival is in Tottori, and me and my friend David started that 5 years ago. David, I probably shouldn't have said his name, but whatever. But he's a good guy, but he's kind of difficult to work with. So after 1 year, I was like, yeah, okay, that was cool. You can, you know, I'll help out, but, you know, I don't want to be involved in the running of it anymore.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, there's around about 2,000 people come each year.
Holy
So
crap, that's a huge event.
Yeah, it's the biggest outdoor beer festival in Japan. So Daisen G Beer Festival. So it's on Mount Daisen. So that's the kind of, it's a free. Yeah, right. So it was the whole concept was like, let's get fucked up in nature. So it's 5,000 yen for 9 hours of drinking.
That's awesome. That sounds great.
$50 for, and there's always like 90 beers or whatever. So that's, if you can look at that up easy, Daisen G Beer Festival.
Okay.
So it's on there's free shuttle buses from Yunago Station, so you can stay there or you can go back the same day, whatever. Camping as well. So that's cool.
That's awesome. So I guess so you're saying, yeah, like fuck it, like, you know, Tottori might not be, you know, like fucking hustle bustle Tokyo or something cool, but you're good if you move here, if you get like put here, if you get hired beforehand or whatever, and you have to come here, like it's a good place, but you got to make the best of it. The weather's not too bad, I'm guessing, too, compared to like Hokkaido or whatever.
I mean, the weather basically it's hot in summer, like humid, and pretty cold in winter, but like spring and autumn, fall, whatever, is beautiful. It's really beautiful. Great place to be, man.
Okay.
Yeah, and then, you know, just tough out a couple of months in winter and get, you know, be prepared to sweat a bit in summer. But I mean, you can say that about Tokyo too, right? Yeah, so it's cool, man. It's cool. Yeah.
Okay, and so I guess the final question would be, what are your future plans? Are you gonna move out? Are you gonna die in Japan? What's in the future? I mean, we can never know. I don't even know what's gonna happen next week, but at least in your heart, soul, sixth sense, what do you feel like is gonna be the future plans, the future of Richard? Are you gonna be in Japan or gonna leave Japan?
In Japan, man. Like, I mean, last year, which I'll get, you know, plug time in a minute, but I started my own company last year. So, you know, that's, you know, I'm investing time. I haven't, you know, don't need to invest so much sort of finance or anything quite yet, but
yeah,
So I'm building on that, and there's a few other cool projects that I've got on the go. So I'm thinking possibly moving my operation from here in Misasa over towards Mount Dyson, just for me because there's if it's walking distance from a train station, that'll be easier to go and see some friends in Yanago, or you know what I mean. But we'll see about that. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty much here. As you said, I mean, forever is a long time, right? So
Yeah.
I say forever, but my plan is this year I'm going to apply for my permanent residency. Hopefully, it should be right. And then maybe even and also things that you can buy a house for $20,000 in England. Like you can't buy a shed for $20,000, literally.
Wow, that's yeah,
Yeah.
that's one thing that you guys gotta remember too. A very important thing that I wanted to point out here is that there are places in Japan where they will either pay you or it's just ridiculously cheap to go there just to live. And if you're one of those like self go getter guys like Richard, where it's just like where you can appreciate the ruralness and the nature and like not need to be around like a bustling train station or whatever, you can really take full advantage of that and just like there's a system here for you guys. Basically, if
Yeah.
you don't mind living in the countryside, you can you have plenty of time to build up your own kind of thing. So you just got to search it out. Talk to Richard.
Yeah, well, maybe if you come to Tottori, I can have out. Maybe Shimane also, I guess. But yeah, I mean that's it. I think you're right. You said something there. It's like this place for me, Sasa. Like I'm gonna have to work it out for Japanese is easy. I'm not sure about foreigners yet, but they pay if you live here for 5 years, they'll pay you something like $5,000 just for doing that.
That's
So
awesome.
and I mean that's not why I'm here, but like if I get $5,000 for just being,
You're just
then
existing in
Yeah.
this current like little place legally. Yes.
yeah. So yeah, like I said, but like anything, growing up where I grew up, England's small, London's like 2 hour drive. A lot of people have second homes. You cannot get a 3 bedroomed house under sort of $300,000-$400,000 for an average house. Here, you can get a beautiful house with a bit of land for like $20,000. Like, so what do I do?
Wow.
Go and live in a shithole in England, or potentially live in a country manor? Like, yeah.
That sounds
No.
so awesome, man. Oh god, that's so cool. So you're gonna be for the immediate future. You definitely want to be here because you're setting up a system and stuff.
Setting up a system, applying for permanent residency. I've got good connections here. Yeah, and just trying it. And honestly, I mean, I'm not one of these people who just sell bullshit. It's not in my nature. Like I do genuinely love it here, and so I want to help them out. And by helping them out, if that helps me out, then
And
I mean,
kill two stones with one bird kind of thing.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
totally all about the birds, right? So,
Yeah, I think that you're yeah, but I mean like you have no qualms against dying in Japan. You like it here. It's a good place to be.
yeah, I mean, I don't genuinely think about where I'm going to die so much, I'll be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's who knows, man. Like, I guess it's probably hard to be old, but it's hard to be old if you're Japanese here too, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I give you like my neighbors. This is the thing, like where I live. That's another thing, I guess. Like, especially because I'm a little bit more up in the mountain. Like my neighbors that side are 80 and 85 to the right of my house, if you like. On the other side is a couple and their son. The son is 65.
Yeah.
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 But they're 90, and every morning they're farming. 90, 93 years old, whoever the old dude is. Every day he's out, and that's why they live so long, man. Because they're active and they're getting off the floor and they're lounging around in comfy seats, getting fat and shit.
Yep. I have no idea what that is like.
That wasn't meaning you, bro.
No. No worries. I think, yeah, no, I totally agree. Japanese people, I mean, like, even my uncle, he's like 65 right now, and he's been retired for at least like, I think 5+ years, and he works part-time, and he he has his own business, and he's like, just because I'm retired, all that means is that I get money for working at that fucking place that I worked at for the last 20 or 30+ years. So he's like, but I got so much shit to do. He's like, that's how old people become senile. That's how they become weak. It's like they get bored, they get complacent. It's like you always got to be doing something. And yeah, you got to really appreciate that about Japanese people. It's just like, they got shit to do, man. You don't see it, but they got shit to do. and
Yeah.
they always have a reason for doing stuff, and I like that. That's good.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Okay, so this is the part. Oh, sorry. If there's anything else you'd like to add about that.
That's cool, man. So just if you do want to live into your 95 in relatively good health, then rural Japan's the place to do it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So guys, this is the part of the podcast where I usually let the guest plug whatever they want to plug, including websites or their businesses or friends' businesses or charities or whatever. So, yeah, Richard, this is your time to shine, man. Plug away, bro.
Thank you very much. Well, I think I plugged the prefecture a fair bit already.
Yes.
But so what I do here, so I work half the time for this tour company and doing tours around Japan. But for the other half the time, which is my business based here in Tottori, I have it's called Bushido, Bushido, Bush I Do, which my brother pointed out. I was like, oh yeah, really think about that.
That's a good name.
Yeah, it wasn't my intention, but it's So basically, it's a Japanese language and culture school, Japanese language and culture experience. It's as it's written on my website, which is www.bushidojapan.com. If you put it into Facebook, Bushido Japanese language and culture experience.
Okay.
So basically, I don't teach Japanese myself, but basically, I have people come here, either on their own or in twos or in small groups.
Yeah.
And basically, I organize to stay in a beautiful country house, and do barbecues and do hiking and stuff if you so wish. But basically, then you can study Japanese with a Japanese person. Usually I do it in this really beautiful ryokan, so it's a really beautiful classroom. And because it's here, like it's actually I personally think I would say that it's a better experience, and also it's cheaper than studying in Tokyo and Osaka. Totally get if you're young and you want to be hang around in cool places in cities, then yeah, it's perhaps not for you. But if you want a different way, different kind of experience, so basically chance to experience we can do it whatever, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, however I can normally work it out. Come and stay in the Japanese countryside, learn Japanese. Of course, that's the important thing, from experience, great teachers, and stay in a beautiful house. Then that's what I do. I also do bike tours as well. So I've got a tour in Tottori. I actually got a tour in Tibet also, if that's interests you, which is going to be pretty full on. That's in September.
Awesome.
So that bike tour part's on the website. But basically, if you're in Japan, you're thinking of coming to Japan, you want to learn Japanese, because accommodations thrown in and everything, it's going to be cheaper than learning in Tokyo. And if you're going to study in Tokyo, you're going to be in some pretty depressing tower block in Shinjuku or something. So it's not particularly a nice. Yeah. I mean, it's cool that people do that and have a great time. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be slagging.
No, guys. I gotta 100% take Richard's side on this. I mean, I already made a video. It's gonna be probably released by the time this came out. It's just a long rant about how language schools are bullshit in Japan, because usually they're all about just getting you a visa to stay in Japan, and they don't really, and you're just going to be in a room with a bunch of Chinese or Korean people learning Japanese from fucking people that don't give a shit, that probably were married to some foreigner for 2 years, then they had a bad breakup and now they think all foreigners are stupid and talk to them in condescending Japanese. But this is totally the exact opposite of what I was talking about in that video, though. You're getting to live in real Japan. Your experience, Tokyo is like Vatican City or Singapore. It's not the real fucking place. It's a completely different island pretty much compared to the rest of Japan. And what Richard offers is really, really cheap accommodation, a real Japanese experience, people who are genuinely interested in teaching you, and it's at a way, way, way much more affordable a price than any place that you're gonna find in Tokyo. The only catch is that you gotta go to him, in Tottori, but trust me, guys, it's worth the time and the trek. And all you need to do is a simple email to Richard with an inquiry. Yeah, you can do that by the email, whatever, or you can do that by the website. Another thing I've said, I got a group coming from Tokyo soon, a group of international teachers at a school there.
And I can make, and if you have 5 people come in, I can make, a deal that's good for 5 people. Obviously, if I've got 1 teacher and 5 students, I can give you a better price than obviously one-on-one is going to be a little bit more expensive. Still way cheaper than if you're going to go to other places to do it, though.
Yeah, guys, we're not even talking like half the money. We're talking way more than like it's just less than you're getting a quite premium discount, especially because you're getting first-hand experience with somebody who's been there, whose job is basically teaching people about Japan, and you're getting the real life Japan experience. So I definitely recommend checking his stuff out later. Any links for anything Richard's saying right now are going to be down in the description down below if you're on YouTube or Facebook. And if you're reading this or listening to this from the iTunes podcast selection, just go down to the website that's going to be linked down there, and you'll be able to go to the website that we're having this discussion on right now. Richard, is there anything else that you'd like to plug?
Probably. I mean, again, I don't know quite the company I work for, and they're really great. Otherwise, I wouldn't plug them either. Is called Inside Japan Tour. So if you're thinking of coming and doing a tour in Japan, then maybe check them out. Just Google Inside Japan Tours. Apart from that, one thing I'd like to say actually. So often when I have tours, when I have people come and stay, I say go to this place. I've organized a tour that goes there. My bike tour goes there. The Oki Islands, OKI Islands. So they're just off the coast of Tottori. They used to be Tottori, now it's Shimane, doesn't matter. But these islands are unbelievably beautiful. There's really cool people. There's a Kiwi girl there called Nicola who helped you a lot. She works in the sort of tourist office. So if you look at that, that's Nishinoshima, not the one near Tokyo, but Oki Islands. Seriously, like if you want like a totally different kind of Japanese experience, the ferry takes about 3 hours from Tottori. It's easy to find out. Just Google Oki Islands. There's loads of English. But yeah, Oki Islands are amazing. They're really beautiful, and they're totally... And like there's virtually no Western tourists go there as well yet. There's more and more is coming, but it's really, really cool. It's a different kind of experience. So yeah, Oki Islands.
That's awesome. Well, and guys, so before we end this podcast, it's time for me to also plug my stuff. Thank you all who have supported this podcast on through Patreon. It's been really awesome to see all you guys support. And to be honest, I wouldn't be able to do projects like this without the support from you guys. Definitely, you're putting your cash where my mouth is, and I really appreciate that you guys see the value in all this, awesome positive promotion about Japan. Like Richard was saying before, Japan might not be. I don't know if this was during the podcast or before, but we were basically mentioning how Japan might not be the most perfect country, but it has a lot of things going for it, and every country is never going to be perfect either. But you could either you could go to Disneyland and focus on the shit that's on the ground that some dog took, and then just sit there all day and just complain about it, or you could just not necessarily ignore it, but acknowledge it, notice that it's not the bigger picture, and you can still, if you're looking for a good time, you're definitely going to find a good positive experience here in Japan. And I want to thank all of you guys, the TkyoSam viewers who took your time out to listen to this. And I hope that you guys, if you end up coming to Japan at some point, definitely go check out Tottori and go check out Richard's stuff too, because he's an awesome dude, and trust me, you're gonna get every bang for your buck there with him. And Richard, thanks for being on the podcast, man.
My pleasure, man. It's been great talking to you, and hope to see you soon in Tokyo or Tottori for some Nomi Hodai craziness.
Oh yeah, dude, we're gonna get fucked up. It's gonna be great. We're gonna get drunk. We're gonna go fight people. It's gonna be great.
I don't know about that so much, but yeah.
Anyway, guys, and I guess I'm trying to end every podcast like this. Richard, just before we could go, can I just get you to say, "Stay black"?
Stay black.
Yeah, stay black, guys.
Stay black.
Yeah, buddy. Woo. Hey everybody, just some last minute announcements. If you're not already doing it, please consider following us on social media, links down below. Big thank you to everybody who clicked on the podcast to listen today. Do us a favor, and if you liked this podcast, Help us grow by smashing that like button, subscribe button, and subscribe bell to get notified when the new podcast comes out. Did you learn something new on today's podcast? Do you want to hear more? Which out of these 3 prefectures should we do a podcast on next? Let us know by emailing us at TkyoSam@gmail.com. If you are listening to this in your car and you want to conserve your phone data, consider following us on the other podcast platforms. We are currently on iTunes, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Links down below. Like always, this wouldn't be a TkyoSam production without giving a special sweet thank you / shout out to all of the TkyoSam fam who support us over on patreon.com/TkyoSam. Without your support, this podcast would be much harder to produce. Thank you all so much for the support. That's it for this month's Prefecture podcast. What did you think of it? Good, bad? Let us know in the comment section down below. Finally, we are always looking for new people to interview on this podcast. If you check out the video description below, you can find out what prefecture we still need to find people to interview for. If you know somebody, let us know by emailing us at TkyoSam@gmail.com. Like always, this has been the Where Come From Japan podcast. Thank you all for watching, and most importantly, stay black.